Welcome in, y'all. Power rankings going into week 3, and we're going to kick it off at 32nd real quick with the Browns. Rough week for them, 41-17 loss against Baltimore. A lot of mistakes this week because you really look at the stats of the game, and it doesn't blow you away from the Baltimore side, and it doesn't look absolutely atrocious from Cleveland side either, but it was just those mistakes really piled up, fumbles, interceptions, etc. The Browns are just bad. It's not going to get that much better this year. I don't expect them to be too competitive in a lot of games, and they have a tough one next week against Green Bay. But 31st, then jumping up a spot, I guess, it's the Saints. Last week, people were asking why they were still at 32nd, not the Dolphins. I think that got proven this week, why the Dolphins were ahead of them. But also, I think the Saints still have a case for 32nd, if I'm going to be totally honest. I mean, the mediocre Cardinals team, or maybe above average now, came in. The Saints played a mistake-free game and still lost by a full touchdown. And this one, they're playing against Mac Jones, George Kittle-less 49er team, and the Niners really controlled that game. They were ahead the whole time. Saints had a chance at the end, but that was rough. But yeah, we'll see how their season goes. I still think it's going to be only 3 wins or so, if even, really. Number 30 now, move on to the Carolina Panthers. I mean, the score looks better than the game was, and they had a chance to win it at the end. They got very lucky, the onside kick. Luck, skill, whatever. But it's like they really didn't want to win that game. They got bailed out so many times with some flags, and they did not want to win that game. They were given all the opportunities. They had all the luck, all the calls go their way, and they couldn't do it. They looked bad all game. It was 27-9 in the fourth quarter. The score just doesn't do it justice. They're at home next week. They're home against the Falcons. It's their first home game of the season, so we'll see if they can turn it around, maybe get a win there. But I'm really disappointed in the Panthers this year and what was supposed to kind of be a bounce-back year, or at least a year where they kind of start trending upward. And then 29, it's the Dolphins. Up a couple spots because they showed competence this week, right? They lost. They still didn't look great, obviously. I mean, the Patriots, a team that didn't look good last week, came in and put 33 up on the Dolphins, which I think is the same number the Colts put up, funny enough. But they looked competent. They look like a team that, they still have some pieces and they'll stumble into some wins, but the Dolphins are still pretty bad. That locker room is a mess. It's a mess there in Miami, let's just say that. But 28th now, we have the Tennessee Titans. I feel so about them 2 games into the year. Week 1, I felt great about their defense, and the offense was a little questionable, but Cam Ward looked very promising. Week 2, Ward looked very promising. The defense started out good, held the Rams to 10 points in the first half, forced the turnover, but then the Rams poured it on in the second half, put up 33 on them. This isn't a great team, the Titans, but I do think they'll win some games this season. But I think 28th is right for them. Then 27th, the team I'm really disappointed in their performance this week. It's the Jets. I thought they were going to put up a fight against the Bills, especially how good that offense was looking last week against the Steelers. And the Bills just really dominated the game. They really just did. The Jets, it felt like early on, didn't have a chance to win that one, and it was never really close. So really unfortunate for them. They jumped back a few spots, and I think they're closer to where a lot of people thought they'd be at the beginning of the year. Then we move on to the other New York team at 26th. It's the Giants. What a game that was. Giants, Cowboys, overtime thriller. There was like 3 different points. You thought, this team hasn't won. Now this team hasn't won. Now this team hasn't won. It was back and forth, and the Cowboys ended up coming away with it. That's tough for the Giants, that 64-yard field goal, to watch that go in and then continue to lose in overtime. That's brutal. But they showed some promise offensively. And, I don't think there'll be a big doormat this year. I think they'll put up some fights in games, and we'll see. So 26 for them. 25 for the Bears, moving down quite a bit. I didn't get to, just the same as this week, I'm doing my rankings before Monday Night Football, so last week I didn't get to rank them after that loss to Minnesota. But yeah, brutal game for the Bears this week. Brutal game. The Lions took out all their frustration from week 1 on the Bears, and the Bears just could do nothing to stop it. The Lions looked like the Lions of last year. They walked all over the Bears. That was tough. That was tough. 52 points. So the Bears, until further notice, are just they're not back. This could be another long year in Chicago. But in 24, man, the Minnesota Vikings. What happened? Week 1, they struggled, right? And they were looking pretty ugly there for a while. And then they come on in the fourth quarter, they win. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I know this roster is really good. And it just took some time for McCarthy to get into it, this team to get into it. They won. Now they're going to start playing well. And then they come out against Atlanta and just lay an egg. They looked bad. McCarthy looked bad. I cannot have them any higher than 24th on this. I think their roster is better than several teams in front of them, but man, they played bad. This is a big week for them coming up. Home against a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati. Still a good team there in Cincinnati, but you should win this game. But I guess we did just see news McCarthy is out, but I don't know how much he was even helping them, at that rate. So we'll see. That was tough for the Vikings to see that happen to them. But coming in at 23, we have the Patriots. Up a few spots. I liked the offense against Miami. I think the Patriots played very well. I think they were in control for a lot of that game. Drake May looked good. And I think my confidence in the Patriots is back a little bit. I don't know if they'll be that sneaky AFC playoff team that a lot of people thought they would be at the beginning of the year because of their easy schedule. But they definitely have potential, and I think they're going to win some games this year. So 23 for them. Then at 22, the Jaguars, tough loss. Joe Burrow goes down. You pick off. You have several interceptions, several turnovers, a lot of chances to win this game. And they just can't get it done. And that's really tough. A missed opportunity for the Jaguars to go 2-0 in a division where wins are going to be at a premium, This is going to be a tight AFC South race, I think, between the Jaguars, Texans, and Colts. And coming away with a win like that would have been huge. So brutal, but chance to bounce back next week. They get a home divisional game against the Texans, who played tonight. So we will see. At 21, we have the Seahawks. They looked solid. They looked very, very solid on the road in Pittsburgh. They got the big win there. That's a big win for them to bounce back after that San Francisco loss where they struggled down the stretch. The defense really locked it up for them. The weird kickoff touchdown really benefited them though. Darnold still had 2 picks. He had more yards, more touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. Don't love that. But they did a decent job against the Steelers offense, though. I will say they got Rodgers for a few picks, someone who usually isn't throwing many interceptions. Steelers were not able to be very efficient on the ground either. Good game for Seattle. All around good game. I think they have some decent upside, and we'll see what they do this next week. They're home against the Saints. That's a game they should walk to a victory against the Saints. Shouldn't be tough at all at home. So we'll see if they can do that. Atlanta, jump for them. What a win. That was very confidence inspiring to go on the road on primetime like that and kind of dominate the game. This is a Falcons team that really could be 2-0 right now. That Tampa Bay game came down to the wire. Things are looking out for the Falcons. They're on the road against Carolina this week, so kind of a tricky one. I don't think there's trap games this early in the year. Everyone's still on their senses are all heightened. They're ready. But could be a sneaky difficult one. We'll see. But I'm liking what I see from the Falcons, and they're primed to start 2-1 and maybe give the Bucs a run for their money. We'll see. And then coming in at number 19, the Raiders. They play tonight, 1-0. They looked good to start the year in New England, and we'll see what they do against the Chargers. I think tonight is going to be a big test, and it's going to tell us a lot about them. But number 18, another team that plays tonight, Houston Texans. This might be low for them for a lot of people. I just really didn't like what I saw from them in week 1. And I wasn't crazy high on them to begin with this year. So we'll see what they have tonight against the Bucs. I think that's going to be a very close game. Texans need to win that game. They're favored. They're at home Monday night. They got to get that win, especially if they want to still claim their stake as the class of the AFC South. Then at 17, it's already put together, so it is what it is. But I'm just thinking about this now, and I'm like, they could be lower. They could be lower. Steelers, I have them here at 17. Week 1, they got shredded by Justin Fields and the Jets. Week 2 looked sloppy. Lost at home to Seattle. This team could be 0-2. If I did this game, I might have them a few spots lower. But I still have faith in this team. They have a good roster. They have Rodgers. Tomlin always puts a good product out there. I don't expect them to fall too much from the middle of the pack. And they have a big one this week going to New England. That'll be a great game. I'm looking forward to that. It's one of those tight games, 2 1-1 teams. 2 teams that are hoping to kind of vie for the tail end wildcard spots in the AFC. So that's a pretty crucial game there. Number 16, Dallas. I think they've looked good so far this year. Defense was rough against the Giants. A lot of big plays for New York. But this is a team that almost beat the Eagles on the road. They come home. They have a scare. The defense doesn't play its best, but they still get the job done in overtime. Aubrey was great. I think they're looking good, but I think it is a test next week. You're going on the road to Chicago, a team that's struggling, and this feels like a very Cowboy telling game. If they're going to be decent this year, they need to go on the road and win in Chicago, or they go there and lose, and they're going to end up like 7-10, 8-9 this season. So we'll see. Important game this week. Number 15 now, the Denver Broncos. Brutal last-minute loss. I know that says 28-28. It was 29-28, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Last-second field goal gets missed. They get the call for leverage, which, are we even sure exactly what that is? I don't know, but brutal way to lose. But you got to win that game if you're Denver. With all the hype coming into the season, your first game was really ugly, and then your second game you go lose to a Colts team that wasn't supposed to be that good this year, but I do like the Colts. I'm a big Colts believer this year, but I still think that's a game you got to go win in Denver. I know it's unlucky with the field goal, but don't let it get to that. Don't put yourself in that spot. And now they're 1-1 going on the road to LA next week for a big divisional game. So they could start 1-2, and then things get tricky there. Number 14 now, Arizona. 2-0. They looked good. I like what I'm seeing from the Cardinals. I thought this team had a lot of upside coming into the year. I still don't know if I trust them to put it together for a whole season. But they got it done against the Saints on the road in week 1, which is always difficult. And then week 2, they come home and they pretty much dominate the Panthers. Panthers came on late. They got some luck, onside kick, I know. But the Cardinals played way better in that game. And I like what I'm seeing with them. So 14 for them. The Niners, 13. A lot of injuries. That if they start dropping games due to that, they're going to trickle down. It could be another hospital season for the Niners. But right now they're 2-0 with a win over the divisional opponent and a road win with your backup quarterback. I mean, the team's playing well, and they're scratching out wins. And, Kyle Shanahan, he knows what he's doing. So far, so good for the Niners, but it's tricky. They got a tricky one next week, home against the Cardinals. That's a big game. Big divisional game. 2-0 teams, number 13, number 14 in these power rankings. I'm looking forward to that one in the late window next week. But now moving on to number 12. Then I was going to knock them back. It's tough, without Burrow. But right now I'm just going to keep them up here. When they start losing games without them, then I'll drop them, which will inevitably happen. The question is when. But Browning's very capable. I thought he had a lot of turnovers. He had 3 interceptions coming in for Burrow, so that's brutal. But he did come back, lead the comeback win. So I don't know. I think they can do decent. He played decent when Burrow was out the other year as well, so we'll see what he can do. But brutal blow for the Bengals to lose Burrow for 3 months. Hopefully they can tread water till then and then have him come in and try to win the last few games and get to the playoffs. We'll see. But coming in at number 11, how about this team, man? How about the Indianapolis Colts? a team that no one really gave a chance this year. You got Daniel Jones. Everyone's making fun of it going into the year. And what do? They go 2 games without punting to start the season. This week 2 was against one of the best, or what they say is one of the best defenses in the league. So absolutely crazy there. Jonathan Taylor was very efficient on the ground, 6.6 a carry. Daniel Jones, great through the air, 316, a touchdown, no picks. This team played great. Got a little luck at the end to get the win, but they got the win. And next week they are they're in Tennessee. So that a little correction there on the bottom. They're in Tennessee next week. Looking forward to that one. They got to go get a road win. Both these wins are at home. It's tough to go on the road in the NFL. We'll see if they can do it. If they can start 3-0, I don't think it's crazy to say I would consider them the front runners for the AFC South. I think they've looked by far the best team so far, so we'll see. Number 10, Washington. This is what I feared from this team. Coming into the season. I was like, this is a very good team. And I think they're very capable when you have a guy like Jaden Daniels to win in a game. However, there's a lot of holes on that roster, and they don't feel like they're in that upper echelon of teams. These 9 teams in front of them here, it feels like they're just a tick below that. And you get a team like Green Bay, and they just kind of dominated the game against Washington. It wasn't a blowout. Washington's not going to get blown out. They're too good for that, and they are a very talented team, and they're probably going to blow a lot of teams out this year. But I worry about them beating really well-rounded teams when push comes to shove in big moments. So we'll see. But I don't know if the roster's quite there for Washington. That was my concern coming into the year, and that Thursday night game kind of confirmed that for me. Number 9, the Chiefs. I just can't drop them much lower than this, especially when their 2 losses are to teams I have in the top 5 of these power rankings. So you lose the Super Bowl rematch, brutal. That Kelsey play at the goal line, that was tough. They had a chance to take the lead there in the fourth quarter. So the opposite of last year, we're 2 games in, 2 one-score games, and they're 0-2. So the luck is flipping on the Chiefs. They got to turn their luck around. Week 3 on the road, Sunday Night Football against the Giants. You have to win that game. You really have to win it. But Giants showed they're not a pushover. I think they could put up a fight, but that's a big one. All of a sudden, week 3, it's a big game for the Chiefs. So we'll see. Coming at number 8, big jump up. Not a big jump, but 5 spots for the Lions. They rebounded. They settled the critics down. They looked horrible in week 1, but they come out week 2, and they look like the Lions we've known these last couple years. They were just absolutely dominant. So many points, 52 points, home in that dome. They looked great. Lions are going to be just fine. What's not fine is their insanely brutal schedule, and it's only just getting going. This week is at Baltimore on Monday Night Football. That's a tough one right there. That's a very tough one. Number 7, Buccaneers. They play tonight. Not much to talk about. They got a nice divisional road win in week 1, which is always very difficult to do and always very important. But yeah, we'll see how they do tonight against the Texans, see if they're moving up or down. Number 6, we have the Rams. It was a little scary there at first, They went down 13-10 at half. They had that pick right before halftime. But then they came out in the second half and kind of did what you should do when you're a really good team playing a very below-average team. And they dominated the second half. The offense was rolling. They put up 23 points in the second half and really could have put up, like 30. They ended the game at the 2-yard line. Or they could have put up 40, I mean. So I think they played very well. Nothing too much to take from the game just because Tennessee's not that great of an opponent, but it's good to see them not giving themselves any type of late scares against the bad team. So they went on the road, got the job done, and they have a huge playoff rematch next week on the road in Philadelphia. I'm still a little skeptical that they can go in and get that done, but if they do, the sky's the limit this year, so we will see. Number 5, the other Los Angeles team, the Chargers, 1-0. They looked great week 1 against the Chiefs, and they play tonight. We'll see how they do against the Raiders, but they need to win. They need to win. Coming at number 4, the Ravens. I think I've said it before. I think this could be the most talented team in the NFL. They just got to stop choking away games like they did in week 1. Week 2, they come in, they play very well, force a lot of Cleveland mistakes, win the game 41-17. No issue, no concerns. Move along. Week 3, they're hosting Detroit on Monday Night Football. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game there. But yeah, no movement here for the Ravens. And at number 3, the Packers. Packers looked great. You could argue them at 1. I think you could argue any of these top 3 teams at 1. But spoiler, I kept them all put from last week because I didn't feel that any of them had such a performance to jump the others or to fall back. It felt like they all played very well, and it didn't make any sense to move these around at all. So Packers at 3, they played very, very well at home against a good Washington team. They dominated the game for the most part, and they look great. They could be the team to beat the NFC, but the Eagles still stay ahead. Their games have been a bit tighter this year so far, but they're getting it done. They went on the road and beat the Chiefs. That is not an easy task, and I know the Chiefs don't look quite as strong as in the past, but you have to give them credit. That is a very difficult thing to do. That is not something teams do often, and the Eagles got it done, and they were ahead that whole game. They seemed like the better team a little bit there. So, Eagles stay at 2, and then at number 1, Bills stay. Like I said, it's hard to move them back after a 30-10 win. It's against the Jets, so not too much to write about there. Big win, and next week they get a nice little home Thursday night football game against the Dolphins, where they are favored by 12.5 points. That's crazy. That is crazy. And then the week after that, the Bills have the Saints. What a very easy week 3 and 4 for them. And then week 5, they host the Patriots, which I can't say that's that tough yet. We'll see. But Bills have every opportunity in the world to start the season 5-0, and they need to. They can't go choking away games, and they're not usually a team that does. So we'll see. But let me know what y'all thought of this week's rankings. And tomorrow we will talk about our picks for this upcoming week. A lot of good games on the docket. Some questionable primetime matchups. Not the most fun week of primetime. You have the Bills, Dolphins, Thursday night blowout potential. Chiefs, Giants, Sunday night. Maybe Giants keep it close. Monday night sounds fun. Ravens, Lions. But, we will see. Let me know what y'all think.